open the Monday, June 12th meeting. Entertain a motion to accept the agenda as may be amended.
So moved.
Is there anything needs to go on that isn't on? I'm not aware of anything.
We got everything covered.
Okay, all in favor of the agenda as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
We'll move on to minutes for,
I make a motion to approve the minutes of May 8, 2023, that all three of us were at. I didn't see anything in here.
I'm good with it. All in favor of accepting May 8th minutes as presented, please say aye.
Aye. I make a motion
Two.
to approve the minutes of May 22nd. All three of us were here at the meeting. Nothing again.
You okay, Chris?
Yep, they're great.
All in
Thank you.
favor of accepting May 22 minutes as presented, please say aye.
Aye.
And then that's it for
That's it.
minutes.
Okay, under Select Board member concerns. I went down East Mountain Road the other day, and I noticed there's a number of places on the guardrails, not that they're rusty, but they're like broken and hanging. Some of them are marked to be fixed. I didn't know if maybe we had someone lined up to come in to do that?
Yeah,
That's
we've
my question.
already approved the contract, they're coming soon. I don't have the
Okay.
exact day, but yeah, we did approve a lot of the work on East Mountain Road.
Yeah, there's another one I saw was smashed up too.
There's a few of them up there
Yeah.
that got hit pretty
Can we
hard.
scroll down so I can see?
Yep. Okay, that was my only item.
Nope.
I have nothing.
Okay,
As others come in, if you can just, when you allow them to come in, can you just add them down at the bottom back for the Zoom?
okay, we're at citizen input, so if there's someone here or someone that's zoomed in, if you're zoomed in, let us know, raise your hand. If you have something that's not already on the agenda that you wanted to bring up.
I got a question for you.
Patrick?
Patrick Cushing. I know you guys talked about before and it's happening. When's the striping of the road? Gonna be?
Third week of June.
Third week of June? All right, cool. My wife was asking.
Okay.
That's all.
Oh, there's a townhouse, it's got the arrow. I'm not seeing anything else.
Anybody on the Zoom have a question?
In case they didn't hear me.
I don't know who this is coming in.
I can't see. Trying to unlock the door.
Pull it.
I know it's unlocked.
Everyone thinks so, you have to turn it. I'm as guilty of it.
Okay.
Cool.
Can you just come up here and sign this sheet?
Absolutely.
Okay.
And we're doing citizens input. Did you have anything you wanted to do before we go into the rest of the stuff?
I don't know.
We have another chance later on if you want to see it.
Okay, I'll wait.
Okay.
Okay.
Way to go, Jim. Put her on the spot.
Okay. Do we have liquor control?
We have one. It's an outside consumption permit for Baja Burrito, and he's renting the space that was formerly the Taco X there, or the Old Peppers. We have a signed letter from Sal. He is approving it, and it's approximately 400 square feet with a border of posts and rope and lights and fake palm trees.
Motion for the town clerk to
Yeah.
move forward with the outside consumption permit of Taco X.
Even has a carpet down.
Yeah.
All those in favor of having town clerk move forward, please say aye.
Abstain.
So since that's just the
Yeah, just the
one
one?
for Lucretia,
That's it.
I want to bring up that I received, you can't talk, but from the car group, somebody from the car group sent me an email talking about the outside of Jack's or whatever for the open area there. He's already got his outside consumption permit, but this is another year this is the last season that we're not charging for those permits along the Killington Road. So next year, they have to come in for their permits. Okay?
Like a zoning permit?
Yeah,
Okay.
because then they're adding on to it.
Good to know.
So we don't need, because we already approved that in the beginning. It's just a matter of fact
Yeah.
that you know,
It's informational.
informational.
Yeah.
Okay?
Okay. Number 7 is Rutland Solid Waste District. We have a presentation.
Yeah, a little one.
And you're Mark,
Mark Shea.
Okay.
Yeah. I'm the district manager there.
Okay. And just watch your step.
Would you like some of the presentation?
Oh, you have more? Okay, because we can share too.
As part of a grant we received from USDA in,
before you get started,
Yeah.
I said Taco X. Taco X is the one out. It's Baja Burrito, okay?
You just realized
I
that?
just realized that.
I didn't want to call you out on
Too
that.
late, it's already been approved.
I was reading it.
Taco X is back.
I told him I didn't even hear it because I was reading it off the sheet.
Yeah.
I knew which one it was. Thank you. Okay, Mark, the floor is yours.
all right, as part of the district reaching out to the USDA and trying to get some money to help increase recycling and diverting trash from the landfill, I'm proud to say we did get the grant. We're the only applicant in Vermont that did. Yes. So the proposal
That did not?
that did,
Did get the grant.
we got the money.
Okay, didn't get it.
And what that's going to do is allow us to get some things, and I'm going to talk about these things, incentives for people to do better, I guess, and postage. And right now, I'm thinking that most of the people in this town received a letter indicating, hey, we want to meet with you, we want to talk with you. Please take a pre-survey. And I passed out the pre-survey for you, and I talked about it in the letter on March 9th, about a pre-survey. That's the thing that gets things going. You guys being the select board is the key policy maker for the whole town. And an idea that I'm thinking that the board would like to is maybe save some money and divert their trash and maximizing the statistics on diversion. I'm going to talk about all these things as we go through it. As you see, we have 12 district towns that qualified to be covered in this application. This grant is not going to happen too often. I don't see it happening next year. So we like to get it in on those towns that have the lower populations, and Killington applies. Sometimes it says population and income, but population weighted higher. And that's why I'm here today. I come with a team of several people. I have an outreach coordinator, Brian Sales. I have a program manager, Brianna Fanzoni. They're going to be supporting this event in various different levels. Brianna is the statistician. She's new to the district. Eager, smart, and looking forward to seeing how we can track you going through these pre-survey, doing some outreach and education. And then once completing that training, it should only be about 10, 15 minutes. It's quick. We want to see what you know and what you don't know and what you would like to know. Some people just get into composting seems to be the hot topic these days. What do I do here? What do I do there? What do I do about bears? What do I do about bones? What do I, and all those concerns during that outreach will be addressed to you, or answered to you. As kind of following along in the presentation, I'm going to go kind of back and forth. I want to try to get this to you as quick as possible, but just to get the main point. I talked about the introduction through a USDA Rural Development Grant. We're able to do this grant, and trying to measure in an analytical paper. At the end of this project in the town, we have the board here and we have members in the audience. We did ask that you have a team that can assist you in case we had any questions on getting a certain participation rate. The bigger the participation, the higher the quality of the information is for you to make decisions in the future related to trash and how you can operate your transfer station more efficiently and effectively. So we talked about outreach, community engagement, education opportunities, and the such. When you think about the big picture, we have 12 rural communities within the district with, we like to address new laws that come down. In the conversation, we're lately talking about things that have changed from last year on how you can charge for things, and 2 years ago you couldn't. These changes are happening more frequently than you would imagine. And if you don't know when they happen, that's a lost opportunity where you can recover that cost. So we're looking for you to maximize your knowledge so you can educate the people that visit you and so forth like that.
So, Mark,
Yes.
you had a transfer person here.
Yes, sir.
I was for
Yes,
2
you-
years,
yes, you were.
okay?
That's a lot of work.
I never got any information of ever telling me when you can charge. So where is, have you heard anything like you can charge for? So where is that in this step?
In our organization, we're experiencing some shortages, staff too.
Yeah.
And one of the things that this program is thought to do is fill in the gaps. Where we focus to all these things that are indicated in my presentation, and on those questions too.
Okay.
If, sometimes, now we have a representative, that is huge. And when you have my cell phone number, we can talk anytime, any questions, any concerns, day, night, on the weekends if you want. Not all weekends.
Don't worry,
But
I won't bother you.
I do care about giving you the most information, and that can translate into perhaps more improved signage at the transfer station, or the like. What is the average price for an annual transfer station permit in Vermont? It's more than what you're getting now. But in this area, I think in the member districts, there's only one town charging more than you. So you have to see what happening with the environment, what your expenses are, what your revenues can be. If someone contaminates your recyclables, you're not going to get any money. You're going to get all costs as trash. So you got to be careful on contamination, maybe some signage. Do not put your batteries in there. Do not put, and have a list where they put dispose of the materials. That's huge, because sometimes a lot of people say they can't be there at this space all the time during the day. There's no way you can do it. When you have customers coming here and there, it gets busy.
So when you say, I think you have to, like, a conversation amongst, when you say you'll get charged, and it's not, it used to be that we used to have papers, cans, milk. We have zero sort, so no matter what, we're getting charged per the ton. We're not getting stuff that says no charge. Some towns have like the bottles set up, or the white plastics and the,
That's where you can maximize your money.
but we don't do that.
I know that.
We
Yeah,
stopped
it's simple.
that.
It's simpler. A lot of, the average town does that, too.
Does what?
Just this zero sort, because
Yeah.
it's easier, you need fewer staff.
Right.
It's easier to, it's a little bit more difficult to contaminate. Because if you put the real bad stuff in, that's when they notice it.
Yeah,
And then it could be wrong.
okay.
But that's an idea too, if you did the separate things. You know, right now, the ones, the twos, and are making money. The
Right.
cardboard is making a little bit of money, not much, but it's not an expense. Yes, we did say that we could charge for those recyclables.
Right, okay.
And I don't know how you can do, I wouldn't say so much by a board, cardboard, but maybe like a blue bin, or, I don't know, 50 cents or whatever you think. On the next page, I have this nice little flyer here. This one in the background. Yep. And it goes through what we just talked about. Some of the timeframes I just mentioned were to provide a pre-survey, so everyone should take the pre-survey. If you go online, you could do this in about 4 or 5 minutes. It's pretty simple. If you take a look at the questions, you get what we're trying to look for. Do you know what is a recyclable, what goes in the blue bin, what does not go in the trash? Something about e-waste maybe, special recycling batteries. And the idea here is, when you reach the next step and you do that, we reach out to you and say, hey, we noticed you took the pre-survey, would you like to take the outreach program? And we get that thing going, then you can take the post-survey. And after that, if you take a look at this page, what are some of the biggest things that stand out at you in the middle of the page?
The blue bin and the compost bin,
Exactly.
and the change in the price.
It's extreme.
Yeah.
Yeah, the soil saver goes for about $200 retail, and I don't know if it's gonna go up.
How bear-proof is the compost bin?
It's, what kind of bear?
Big and hungry.
Bears that are hungry, bears that whack this thing over, that's what they do. There's things you can do to limit this from happening, and within the outreach program, all your needs, all your questions are gonna be addressed. There are special canisters out there in which you could, you know the barrels you get at home, and they wheel away, you get at Home Depot and you put the lid on it, pull up the things like that? The average typical household barrel. They have ones now that you put it on and you screw it on. And it's an extra thick barrel. These things are about $500. Those, I'm hearing those are as close of bear-proof as it can be, but they can still get in it, they say.
We had that group in from Burlington, UVM.
Yeah, it was the UVA group came
UVM.
in.
It's like if you're gonna put a compost system like this, put a wired fence, barbed wire fence around.
Yep. That works.
Yeah.
Put strips of
Electric.
bacon on it first, and then they go for it, they touch the thing, and then they run away, because they get hit with the barbed wire,
Yep.
so.
We'll be saying that to you during the outreach too. Sometimes it's practical, like, we use a storage shed. We keep that thing clean, it's spotless. We put sawdust in it twice a day, afternoon and before we leave. We put like 3 inches of sawdust so you can't smell it. By the end of the day, you've got a good third of it when it's full, sawdust. So if they don't smell it, that works for us. We've never had a problem. We don't have bugs. We don't have those little maggots in there in the summertime. In the summertime, it's okay. So I think a key thing would be to mitigate the vectors would be sawdust. I keep a bin right next to it, and it has a little scooper here, and when they put it in there, they just put the sawdust in.
Do you guys sell the sawdust down there?
No, we go to a sawdust mill, and we get like a big bin of it for like $10. It's something like that, yeah. And when they want to get rid of it, come and get it and, say, hey, it's a good way to partner with people too. So, yeah, we get the blue bin for those that want to recycle. I have the one, well, at your place, it'll be so much easier. You need one bin, put all the plastics in there, put the tin cans in there, put the bottles, whatever you consider going in your zero sort, into that barrel. It's $5 now. These things are going for $20, $25 retail. So we want you to participate. Because, as I said, the higher participant level, the better quality information you have. If you only had, say if you had 100 people, 100% of all the people comment on this, you would know what everyone thinks. You're not going to get that. You're not going to get 50%. A lot of times the state uses a number where they want to do changes. Like the EPR stuff, the governor just signed the EPR for household hazardous waste. So this is going to be a new program coming out over the next year or two where the brand owner is going to be responsible for cradle to grave cost. So that's going to be an interesting thing. So that's going to take the expense of the purchaser and place it back on the brand.
You
But-
really think they're not gonna put it back onto the purchaser?
Well, there's a bit of
Have you
luck.
seen what happened with, when you buy paint and you have to pay fee on top of your paint?
Yeah, it's like the bottle bill. but the-
Okay, so we're gonna pay for it.
I think,
Just so you
from what
go.
I'm hearing, the research shows that Vermont's the first one. And they're not gonna go through all that level to collect such a small number proportionally. That's what I heard.
They'll raise
So
their
I
fee.
will, I'm interested to find out too. And, yeah. Because what they said instead before this is that they give you a bunch of chemicals. The intention of that, for the company, is for you to use that forever. And if you don't use it forever, you're not doing what the company designed it for. And that doesn't happen. And you have to get rid of it, and you want to do it responsibly. And there's the catch between the two. So if they suggest that if you have 4% participation rate, the first year out, that's a good number. If you have 7%, that's excellent. So we're looking for some higher numbers here, but not to be idealistic. We need some data, some points of measure, observations at this meeting, observations through all the data points that we get in the pre-survey, some things that go on with the outreach, and finally the post-survey. And at the end of that, we're going to analyze all the stuff and have a paper for the board, and we'll bring it to the board in September and talk about how Killington did, and we'll talk about how it compares with other district towns that participated. But, you know, I come here trying to find out what your concerns are. Because your concerns maybe bears, as you say, a little bit more than it would be for Proctor or another town that they have different immediate things that you hear about more than you want to. And we can emphasize that during their outreach presentation or some kind of follow-up. But at the end of the day, we do have to follow the law, and the next page talks about what the law is. We want to get into household composting and recycling, some awareness. What goes in this bin, what goes in the trash, what cannot go in the trash? What's your awareness? And I think with the survey, it talks about that. And there's no right or wrong answer. It's about, gee, you know, I think we're all lifelong learners here. At least we try to be responsible. The good people do. What's your attitude? There's people that just don't want to recycle. I have a guy that comes and gets it, and I don't want to do anything else. It's his job to do that. He tells the hauler. The hauler would say it's the person that's the source who is responsible for it. Legally. But if he could divert and make things less costly for him, he would be the person which can benefit the most financially and possibly save for that Florida vacation if he followed some of the things that this program talks about. But those people that are downright just don't want to do it, never will do it, chances of their attitude changes is less than those that, gee, I wish I knew what to do and I can make it better. Those people would be inclined to save some money perhaps, or make better decisions for the environment. We turn to the next page, we have some of our composting methods. We have what is part of the program. We have this green thing, and the black part goes in the ground, and the top part goes above it, and you just throw it in. These are not for the program. We don't have any of these right now. They're really difficult to get. We do have the food scrappers, so if you don't compost and you want to do the right thing and bring it to the transfer station, we have these little biodegradable bags you can use and put those in that little bucket. It's about this size. You put it in your freezer. You'll never know it's there until you come out every 2 weeks and bring it to the transfer station. Just bring the bag, and that will stay clean. We have those also. And you see the little bag right below it? Or you can have a guy come in and pick it up. And that's what this guy does here. These are the items, if you turn the page. Landfill bans. Anything that you see on this page cannot go in the landfill, cannot go in the trash. It goes through a never-growing list. Paints, tires, waste, oil filters, recyclables, organics, electronics, mercury-added products, certain batteries, appliances, white goods, and those dangerous things, hazardous waste. Then we get into one of the key goals here is to measure your diversion rate. Each quarter, we know the materials that you dispose of as a town, and We have measured these, and it compares with other towns. You're on page 20. And for a town, you've stayed relatively straight. You take it a big picture. But take a look at everyone else. Some towns are really good, some towns, I think you'll see some adjustments around the COVID time, where actually the materials have increased, the diversion rate increased sharply, but now they're coming down a little bit.
What do you call diversion?
Things that don't go in the
Garbage
land,
going into
trash.
trash?
Recycling.
Recycling.
Yeah, you're recycling better.
Is this yardage or cubic feet? or-
Tons.
Tons?
Tons.
So it's saying 35% of the total tons is diverted as recycled?
35.2 tons a year,
Not percent, 35.2 tons.
tons.
Is it equivalent to
Well, no,
what?
no.
Is
It says percent.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, percent divided by, yep, you're right, I'm sorry. Yep, 32.
Diverted.
Yeah, so.
Yep,
So that, the amount diverted is the amount going to recycling?
you're actually,
Okay.
this is not going in the trash, this is not going into the landfill.
Divert from the landfill?
Right.
Right, okay.
Now, they had a statistic out a few years ago, and someone mentioned UVM about food waste. They speculated that 47%, as much as 47% of what's in that bag was food waste. I was astonished by that. And thinking about 47, that's half the price. So you can get twice as much in that bag for trash at half the cost. That's how you save money. That's how you can go to Florida once a year. Tell me, yeah. If you have the service pick it up, can you get that to the $3 a week? Maybe. If you're doing some good recycling now, but if you're not doing anything, that would add up. If you have So that's something that we're looking at. And I think when we have our final report ready for you in September or so, we're going to talk about these things. Getting back to the next to last page, we're talking the PAT meeting participant team here. We're willing to meet in the morning, the afternoon, the evening, whatever kind of works for you. But we do have a webinar that could be for those that are really busy, that talks about this. We can do virtual meetings, conference calls. We'll put a lot of effort into making those ideas that someone mentioned, that how come we didn't know about this until now? How come, we don't want that to happen again. And I think with a representative, I think that's huge on keeping everyone in the loop. I know in most towns, the representative does meet with the board quarterly or so, whatever's good for you, to talk about updates. Sometimes it could be an email that I forward to you, you can forward to the board. They don't need to know every, the whole meeting thing, but things that can affect your town. They're busy too, so I don't want to give them too much to burn them out, per se.
I see him hanging out all over the place, so it can't
Burnt
have
out?
that much to do.
Well, poor choice. I know you guys are busy. I see this building here, it's beautiful. I see the projects that you come into town is phenomenal.
So I just have a few questions for you. Working at the transfer station for a little while, we sign into this program or whatever, and like when I was there, all of a sudden I'm having a problem with the recycling machine because we're on zero sort, and the thing shut down. Okay, it wouldn't compact anymore, and it took 6 months. Hopefully I got through it, that you haven't had that problem yet, but it took a while to couple of times for Casella and whoever else to come down there. You got people coming in on a Saturday, or Sunday, or Monday, and they got their recyclables, they got their whatever. I mean, the recycling machine is down. The way the program is set up is that if this Brian Sales showed up on one of those days, and I diverted from recycling, because I could no longer compact, into the garbage, it's a no-no.
It's costly for you.
But forget about it, but there's a difference between it's costly and we're here as a town providing a service to the people. And they're coming down on that Saturday to get rid of their garbage. And because our machine is down, we have to eat the cost. But because we are a transfer station in the state of Vermont, that if the state showed up, they would fine us. Because they say, there's a soda can in the garbage compost, the garbage compactor. Even though we don't have control of what's in that bag, the person throws that black bag in, you're not looking through the bag and finding. And then the compactor rips the bag open and shows that there's 6 bottles or whatever, cans in there. And that state guy shows up, and then all of a sudden, you get a thing that say, we're facing a $5,000 fine or whatever it is.
Potential, yeah.
Potentially, whatever, okay? So my question is really playing off of that. You're asking us to join into a program that, am I really signing into a program that is going to get more feds looking at if we make a mistake, and it's gonna cost us in the long run? And I get it, this is about saving the environment, and I'm all there. My wife has one of those. Forget about the money. It's when the machine breaks down, you still have to provide a service to your townspeople, okay? Or, let me give you another instance. They forgot to come to pick up the food compost that one week because, I don't know, truck broke down or whatever. Now I don't have any other buckets to put it in. So now the food compost goes where? It's not going in the recyclables, it's going in the garbage. And then someone shows up. So what is the watchdog on this program?
Let me try to answer your question. I think there's 4. Okay. If you have a breakdown with any kind of piece of equipment, I believe you have an agreement or with Casella. They bring it here, they service it, and they pick it up.
Have fun on a Saturday trying to get hold of
It's
somebody.
not on the compactor, it's actually a company out of New Hampshire that has to come here and do the repairs. It's a subcontractor of theirs. It's not, we do not have the ability to have anything happen on an open day if it goes down.
Especially a Saturday or a Sunday.
It's gonna take days.
Because sometimes, it took 4 months to fix the machine right, because it kept on, I would have to play with this thing and shut it down and turn it on and shut it down and turn it on to keep it going, and then sometimes it would get,
It was an electrical problem that took them a while to.
it took like 8 months.
Yeah, it was a while.
You have an extra layer of complication here where Casella can't come up and fix it right then because they're supposed to. An idea would be to, and I have a funding source for this too, is that you have an extra can, something that you can cover, maybe a 20-yard or a 30-yard, just in case that happens. And then Casella can take that, and you won't be down for business. So that addresses the equipment that breaks down up there. Now let's talk about them throwing things that are on that list into the trash. It is illegal to knowingly and wantonly putting things that aren't supposed to be in the trash. It's a crime. However, no one requires anyone to look in the bags. The state won't look in the bags. I'm not looking in the bags. I don't have that time. And I don't think you're going to have to be able to look in the bags either.
What I'm getting at is the bag gets crushed, and all of a sudden the can showed up, and it happened to me, right, Chet?
Yes.
And then somebody shows up from not Rutland County, but the state or whatever, and wrote you a letter and saying you could be fined. It was $5-10 grand or whatever.
I remember the letter happens more than
There was
one.
corrective action, there was several, they came up with a couple things, 3 or 4 things, but,
Yeah,
I mean, we ended up not getting fined, but the issue is
those are gonna happen more. Those reviews are gonna
visits.
happen. I believe so. And they're looking for,
Are they self-funded, or are they a self-funded department? Like
Um,
OSHA?
well, you've been there for a while, and that's kind of a interesting, some people answer it different, but I wanted to.
I mean, I don't need an answer on all the questions
Yeah.
of what I know happens. I'm asking, we're being asked to sign up for something, and
This is,
what is the...
this is for your personal use and for you as a town to, I don't think there's any hook on this.
Well, no, the question is are we gonna be observed more often because of this, or is that totally separate?
This is something that the district filled out an application to USDA, and the district got the money. And we're doing the outreach to the 12 towns that we said in the application, and it's between us and the members. It's a-
Well, I do want to get that, Rutland County Waste, if you come up and you do a couple of inspections, that's not a finable thing. I want to make sure that the public understands. They come in and say, if we were X, you could be. You're there to help us.
Exactly, and that stays between me and the manager, or whoever the manager wants it to have. It doesn't go anywhere else.
How much funding did you get from the USDA?
It's 35,000,
Okay.
so
And it's just made for education purposes?
education, postage, and some hours of mailing envelopes to everyone, every household in town. And I believe it went out last week
You got a
sometime.
postcard last week.
Yeah, so that asks you to, that's the engagement letter, reach out to Brian, take the survey. The survey is the most important part to get you in the door, so we can reach out to you and keep track of it. When we're giving you the numbers at the end of this day, you want to see the pre and the post, and how we did in our training.
So I mean, I can push the survey.
That's awesome. We have some QR cards going around.
I just want, I just want free recycling.
He does this all the time.
He does, yeah.
Yeah, I think you push the recycling bins. Compost.
Yeah, I just want a free recycling bin for that, no.
He wants one too.
I don't want to free recycling.
So you can get,
My wife might.
we're gonna be reaching out to the town, perhaps you can come up with some ideas where we can. perhaps-
Listen, I'm all
Yeah,
for this.
okay.
My wife's got one of those, whatever, it's not a Zumba, it's a Roomba or whatever.
Oh.
It's like $700 freaking, and you put your food scraps in, and within 24 hours, it turns it into
Beautiful.
whatever, soil, whatever, a
That's good.
compost, so believe me.
The prices
I got
have come
compost
down.
now. I'm just looking at that sometimes when you set up for these programs, you can end up getting fined more than what.
This is between, and you know, if the state asks what are we doing, we're required to do outreach for you.
Right.
And it could be
Killington compost.
talking to you, doing, hey, we're here, if you have any questions about.
Talk to Tino about and feed the pigs.
Pigs and chickens.
Yeah.
Chickens are awesome.
So I have the compost and the recycling information. You guys have those posters. I have those right at the compactor and right at the composting.
That's required by the state. There's another thing too, before, there's a little ditty here about marriage is not just a spiritual communication, it's also remembering to put your trash out. I did mention that we talked about bins. The district this year has $25,000 that's funded. We've been able to fund $25,000 to go out to our towns for items like containers. It's a 50-50 share, and I believe I sent the applications 3 questions. And first come, first served, whoever gets it. So it's 50-50, so if you were to get a compactor, maybe a 20-yarder would be about $6,000. We'd give you 3, or whatever, I forget the proportion that you have. If it's not a compactor or a can or a whatever you want to use, the big green things or whatever. You could use it for signage around the transfer station to help assist the employee direct to people to where and what they need to do.
Okay.
So we're taking that as, until the funds come in. We've had one town, small town, similar, probably similar population looking for signage. And 3 questions, we look for a little bit of an investment and see, hey, well, how is this gonna really help you? Is it gonna be around for a couple of years? These are all things that are in your management plan. Like you have to have on your gate, your opening hours and your closing hours. Maybe you want a nicer sign. Maybe, you know, when people come into a transfer station, they see it's nice, it's kept up, it inspires people to come back.
Well, you should go there now. I'd eat off that floor.
It's true.
That's good. No, that's really good.
And the one thing we haven't upgraded in a lot of years.
It's cleaner
is
than when I
signage.
was there. Oh, my God.
Really, signage is probably the one thing we need, and we actually just rebuilt the fence
Yeah.
at the location, so it's time to do signage.
So we put in for the $6,000.
So you put it get a professional
like signs.
sample, like a draft, with that in your thing, and with measurements and all that, and estimates.
Can we get an LED sign? So we can change it every week. Yeah.
I don't want to hear that.
Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Do finish those surveys, please.
I will.
And,
I'll push those.
okay, did any of you finish it already?
No.
Could you scan them to me when they're done with it? Okay. Or you can do it online with your phone, it takes you 4 minutes.
Yeah, I did it online, it was
Yeah, pretty good.
It was relatively painless.
I just need to figure out how I want to
Yeah.
contact me.
Any
Maybe I'll
questions?
use email.
I didn't ask any questions, any questions that I didn't answer?
No, thank you.
Do you just, the surveys is just on the Rutland County Solid Waste website, or how do you
Yes.
get to it?
Yes.
That one?
And there's a link on that page there.
Mhm.
If you go to the website, it'll tell you to take the pre-survey
Okay.
and put your town in, so you know that your town's getting started. We're looking for that, the name, it's anonymous, but no one else is gonna get that information. I'm not gonna be calling you, I'll call you to let you know when you're ready for the outreach, and to let you know that you're ready to take the post-survey. And then the next thing is, come get your bins that some people want.
Nice.
Okay?
Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Even court points over.
Yeah, the
Fill us in on that?
planning
Everybody?
commission,
Yep.
was working on our fee schedule. Our fees haven't been updated in a lot of years, and looking at some of the different items, and it was determined that we wanted to add a zoning fee policy, which explains, you know, payment of fees, what the increase is and when it will happen, and legal and professional expenses that go with it. Basically, this is all tied to things like when somebody's making an application that the town is able to recoup advertising and things like that for public hearings for specific projects. So basically, and Jim would be able to answer better what the differences are in the zoning
So,
permit fees.
Yeah, so let's go to the page of proposed existing or whatever, and we're gonna go into a PUD hearing. And currently, the PUD hearing is $400, all right? And that's it. And we have to post it in the paper. And the paper's charging us $270 or whatever for a week of being put in. That's if we get it into the Mountain Times prior to. It's like $600 for one time at the Rutland Herald. We're charging $400. So what this is, now you go over to the side, it's saying the PUD hearing would be $500 plus the warning fee. So whatever the paper cost would be, would have to be also paid. We would pay the newspaper, but then we would get reimbursed.
What papers do we have to currently go with? We do the Mountain Times?
We just have to do the Mountain Times.
If we get it in, if the notice is, like, if we get the application and the notice is in the week ahead of time that we need to make it happen.
So what we've been doing for the last year, though, is like, people will come in and Ken, you were on the zoning board or the DRB for a little bit there. And it's a rush, it's a rush, it's a rush, it's a rush. And then you find out it really wasn't, but you had to go to the Rutland Herald and you're paying $700. With me sitting in there as the DRB person, it's like, I understand it's a rush, but we're having the hearing this date, and make sure I can get it into the local paper that's not as expensive or whatever. So we're not looking to go to the higher price or whatever.
I was just curious if you had to go to other,
No, it's just one, just to the Mountain Times is good enough.
and
or
it
the
has to
Rutland
be in a
Herald.
newspaper?
It has to be in a newspaper.
Okay.
So there's certain things, like PUD hearings, site plan review, site plan amendment, renewals have to be in, subdivisions don't have to be in. So then I go to a subdivision, and it was like $100 per lot or whatever. And then Lisa went through and checked a whole bunch of other towns or whatever. And now we're going over $100 for, well, I just had to deal with 2 circle lots getting into 2 squared lots, okay? And it's been what, like 6 months worth of work, going back and forth and doing all this. And $100, it'd be $200 because it's 2 lots being created. It's just not, the town is not here to make money, but the town has to recoup the cost that it's putting out there. A one-family dwelling, it's $300. I mean, I gotta go through plans, I gotta take a look, I gotta get into height restrictions, I gotta look at the survey. Sometimes when someone comes in with a new family house or whatever, I'm probably putting 5 or 6 hours time into it. And then writing the permit, and then following up, and all the questions that get asked. So Lisa and the planning commission went out, and they started looking at what other places, some places are charging $2-3 grand for a permit. That's crazy. So, they came up with a fee of $600 for the one family.
Any town that has actual building code that they apply, basically it becomes a percentage of the cost of the house.
Yeah.
Is what you end up paying, and anything commercial would
Used to
the
be
same
that
thing.
way. We had a fee in there as.
Well, that was refundable. You would pay a fee, right, Lucretia? You would pay a fee, and then you had to pay another, but it was refundable.
Zoning deposit,
A
yes, but
zoning-
you would come back and get your CO.
Right, to get your CO, and it was based on the square footage or whatever?
I don't
I'm not sure which way.
remember.
No, there was a fee way back, it was so many cents per square foot or
Yeah.
whatever the impact was. But that was just, it was a different math, just
Yeah.
different formula.
So, I mean, they
When
came
built
up with
my
this.
house, That's what I did
Yeah,
per square foot.
Per square foot, yeah.
They came up with this, they went through, they looked around to local communities in Killington that are equal to us,
Okay.
and came up with this here. I mean, it's just, for the amount of work that you have to put into, it's just, like a site plan review. I mean, it was $300, and then you had to put the thing in the newspaper. You're already losing money. So now it's $500 plus the warning fee. The bit where it comes into in the policy, talking about going for legal advice, that's not for, I believe she's got in here when legal or engineering services are needed to assist with the review of an application or needed to develop legal documents related to amendment, the cost shall be. With regard to research, the town will not bill the applicant for charges resulting from consultation with the town attorney regarding issues involving interpretations of town bylaws, formal appeals of this town decisions, or routine questions concerning. This gets more into where, it just falls outside of the zoning person or whatever, and you have to get a legal advice, or if a developer comes in and starts.
Well, it says the town may bill the applicant in instances where they're requiring consultation with the town attorney for drafting legal documents
Right.
relative to specific development proposal, including town of Killington development agreements, easements, et cetera,
Right,
where the applicant specifically requests consultation with the town's attorney.
right. So we do get sometimes where I have to tell an applicant, no, you don't have the permission to go to our legal counsel and start ringing up our bill, asking them questions, because they'll just, they have gone.
Yeah, we've had that happen.
And I've had to say, no, you cannot talk to our attorney. If you want to talk to our attorney, then you need to understand that you're going to be paying for that fee, not us. So I mean, I believe Lisa took a good 3 or 4 months going through this. It's a well-written document. And the one thing I would say is that I'm going to make a motion to accept this, but starting July 1st, so we get to the new year. Because there are permits that are on my desk right now. And there are
July
people
1st of?
July 1st of 23, this year.
Which is the policy going into effect and the fees, and basically in the policy, it talks about when you do budget season, you'll be determining next year's fees.
Right. And just so like people, if there's people out there, I know it's gonna happen because I'm gonna hear like, oh, they're just looking for money or whatever. I'm gonna tell you right now that probably within the next 8 to 10 months, I am going to be coming in with a 9-lot subdivision, okay? And underneath the current subdivision, it's $100 a lot, and it's going to $500 a lot. So I just raised my own from $900 to $4,500, okay? So.
You should wait.
I said 8 to 10 months. I'm not going in, so it's gonna be at the 4,500.
No, you should do it right now, before it changes.
Yeah.
And then what are you proposing in terms of extrication and fill? Because it went from, you're deleting a category altogether?
So, we don't have, I've been looking for something,
Yeah,
and
can't
there's,
find it.
and it used, there was something, but what we are going to do is for fill,
Something they'll define.
for fill, people accepting, and I've said this, and we keep on saying it at certain meetings, that we have to come up with a form that when people come to the town looking for fill, that they're accepting the town from the fill, and they take full responsibility for that fill being dumped on their property, because our guys don't know if they're dumping it into a,
Wetland
or
something.
too close to a stream or
Wetland,
whatever.
yeah.
I don't know what the rules are. I mean, everyone's like free fill, and then, and then all of a sudden, we start getting calls from Act 250. The person said, well, the town just dropped off 5,000 cubic yards of blah, 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 and, we dropped it off. Don't know what they're doing with it. So it has to be something that they,
Repeat the motion.
But what if the landowner takes a lot, fills it in, it ends up creating a water problem for another neighbor, and we never had a permit for any of that?
so I always like to say my lot. I don't want to put it on somebody else, okay?
You can say my lot.
My lot and your lot, let's say they're together, and I start filling my lot up, and I destroy your lot, right? Is that what you're talking about?
Mhm. And
So-
the town
And the town gave me the fill,
yeah.
okay? So I signed off on this piece of paperwork that says that I'm accepting this fill and my responsibility, and the town has no responsibility
To use it
for it.
correctly.
And I have to use it correctly.
You have to check for state if there's permits required, like all of it has to be listed.
So basically, what's gonna come down to it is that,
It's always been a
It's
friendly
always-
transaction
But it
until
shouldn't be.
now it can't be any more like that.
Yeah, I'm just like, I'm just,
But what would happen, let's say without this, the town just dumped off 10,000 cubic feet of whatever, and I asked for it, and I flattened out my property, okay? And I sloped everything down to Chris's property, because I don't want the water on my property, I want everything to go down to him. And now it washes out his property or whatever, and it causes it to be a wetland or whatever later on.
Technically, that's a civil action from
That-
him to you.
that's what I was
and
getting at, so then
the
it's-
question is just, do we get adjoined?
Right, so
the
basically
issue.
that letter, though,
knowingly dumped the fill there, knowing that it was gonna cause a problem.
Well,
That's what I'm asking.
yeah, and that's
but
why
that's
we
why
want to get the
need to
release.
have
We are
this
getting a release
release
document
that
created for this.
They're not gonna give it to me unless I sign this release saying, I'm taking this fill and I'm taking responsibility of, it's
Right.
mine. So then if you come
And
after
then
me.
what happens if it causes a problem on one of a town roadway?
Well, I mean, anything like that, they're not, in every case, you're not allowed to dispose of, create water onto the road, you're not allowed to, that's just state law. So that won't, and we are being much more careful, like, we're not giving it to everybody anymore like we were. We have certain areas, we're being more discerning about it because of these issues, but we have to come up with whether it becomes a policy or it has to become a release to make this happen correctly.
And then what if if the material is tainted? Even coming from the town?
That's why we need this letter saying. you're
I know, I'm
taking-
just
Basically, the only soil we give away is road gravel and ditch fill. That's it. It's all side of the road stuff, and, we can get a legal opinion on it. If we can't get rid of it, then we got a different problem.
I'm just
So-
asking a question.
Yeah, no, and they're good questions. I mean, these are
It's just
things we
like
have to answer.
I think that's more like, if we're gonna get deep into that, I'm sorry, but that would be underneath executive session and legal. I mean, we need to have, the town can't be held responsible for somebody asking for free fill and then moving it around on their property and causing damage to a town road or to another person's property or to a wetlands, that the wetlands specialist all of a sudden shows up and says, you just filled this in. And there have been a couple of properties that are now caught, especially over in Robinwood, of filling in some wetlands.
Oh, the
Person-
one, yeah.
Well, there's more than one, but, so, there's one that you know of. So, but I mean, we didn't bring that fill in there.
No.
Somebody else brought it in.
No, that was long, different.
Yeah, so I mean, that's the one thing underneath the zoning regulations, when we give out permits, underneath it, it says, you're getting a permit from the town underneath the town rules, but you must still abide by the state and Act 250 and everyone else, streams and wetlands and all that other stuff. This town has never gotten into going to and saying, we don't have the engineering capability of someone going out and saying, you can't put there because it's a wetlands. We let that fall onto the state. It's the same thing like our Act 250 permits. We allow people, they go to the state, and the state has to go through Act 250. So my motion to is accept the Planning Commission's recommendation for the Town of Killington zoning fee and policies to take effect July 1st of 2023.
You want to use the word adopt the policy?
Adopt the policy and the zoning fees?
What about driveway permit? That's not on there, is it?
No, because that's underneath the town
That's
boundary.
different.
Are you leaving that fee the same?
No,
It'll come back.
that's coming back here
Okay,
quickly,
just
so
asking
there's
the
just not, it's
Yeah.
not tied to this.
So my motion is to adopt the recommendations from the Planning Commission, the Town of Killington zoning fee policy. New price is July 1st of 2023.
Okay.
Second?
Second.
Do you have any other questions, Chris? Before we-
No,
Okay, all those in favor of adopting the policy, please say aye.
You got a hand.
Eli.
Eli. Go ahead, Eli.
You're muted.
an unrelated or partially related question is if in the building permit, if someone is using a lot of fill to build the house, is that considered part of the building permit, the filling in of the land?
No.
I'm sorry, that was no?
Yes.
The only thing, when the town issues a building permit, it is only a zoning permit, which identifies uses and dimensions.
That gets back to what I was just saying, that somebody's going to accept fill, and let's say I'm up in Ridgetop, and there was a lot that had a big sliding slope, and they had to come in with 10, 15,000 yards of fill to get compacted down to put their house on, okay? The town accepts it. They're showing us that they got it permitted for X amount of house, it meets the square footage, it meets the height, it meets everything else. It has a septic, or it has sewer, and it has a well. But where it comes to is that they can't be filling in wetlands or whatever, and that falls underneath the state, not the town. So I think you're leading to your question, how can someone just go and start filling in a property without getting a permit? Technically, you could fill a property in as long as you're not affecting any natural resource such as a wetland or a river or anything else like that. Does that answer your
Okay.
question, Eli?
I think so. Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So to follow up then on Chris saying about the driveway permit, the driveway permit is issued underneath the town manager's position. And I believe the town manager is starting to look at changing that there's a beginning and an end.
Yeah, it's a two-part process where you get a permit to construct and then you get the recordable document. Yeah.
You know,
Okay.
so.
Do we have a contract for engineering?
Yeah, we have it's not in your packet.
Right.
It's a contract to sign with the Dufresne Group. Part of it is part of the state revolving loan program. They approved the contracts. This is for contract number 4 on the water, which is from the resort down to Ravine Road, and this is for the design portion. The amendment, which there's also an amendment to the engineer's contract for the $216,000, and the state revolving loan application, which needs to be signed by the entire select board and the town manager. So I have that here, and that's for $216,000 for contract 4.
So you need a motion to approve the state revolving loan program
Program
for
application.
contract 4
Right,
The
for
application.
$16,000.
$216,000. So moved?
Yep.
Okay. Aye, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Voted too fast. Oh, okay, so we're doing it next time. All right. Now, is there someone here to do a presentation on the
No, well, Butch.
townwide reappraisal proposal? Okay. Did you guys finish that and then?
Well, at the last meeting, I had presented the proposal from Vision to do our townwide reappraisal.
Right.
And it was requested that we have some conversations about, well, have everybody, all the select board be able to review the packet. And at the same time, we had also asked for, because the only thing that was excluded in the contract was the resort reevaluation portion of it, and looking to specific contractors. Butch, our lister, has done some research and looked into that group. The Vision the Vision proposal is for $299,000. We right now have about $330-some thousand in the fund, of which 30 is going to be used for the Canvas software update, which is actually uploaded now for the first piece of it. And then we also have the portion that's for the resort reevaluation.
So since we're just got really this, Butch, you're here, have you gone through, there's 3, Resort Logic, Snow Valuation, and
Yes,
Winter Star?
yes.
Can you fill us in on what you see here? Because we don't know.
The, of the 3, I think that the 2 best ones are the Resort Logic and Snow Valuation. I've had good talks with both of those people. Of the 2, the Snow Valuation is about, they are offering to do it at $39,500. The Resort Logic folks are charging not to exceed $24,730. if we do have to go and pay any extra, the hourly rate for the Resort Logic folks is considerably less than the hourly rate for snow valuation.
So can I stop you there? If they say not to exceed 24,730, how can you have any extra?
If we decide to have them do something outside of this initial scope.
Okay. Would we want them to do, is there anything?
Well, the Resort Logic folks are more than happy to help us figure out what all the property is that Killington owns and where the property lines are and how they relate to the current tax bill situation that we've got. So I see that as a plus.
So the 24,000 you proposed, you're saying is via the income approach, that they're
They both are
valuing?
via the income approach, because when you're dealing with a big company like that, that's really the only way you can come up with a good valuation. Anybody looking to purchase the properties doesn't look at the value of the potential value for land or the value and depreciation value of any of the buildings that are there. They look at what it can earn for income.
So the one thing that I noticed is on the option, the other valuation via income approach is the fully developed report, which is an expanded version of it, basically, which still keeps them like 28 or 29,000. It's still significantly less, but
We could add that on or something. He suggested that while he was offering up those two options, that we really don't need them.
okay.
That the best one is going to be the one that he's going to.
So when I look at Resort Logic, it's 24,730. And then I go to page 2, there's option 5, I guess, okay, there's an option, okay, it's not 5, it's valuation by income, which could be not to exceed 4,370. And then there is an option for valuation via cost approach, which could be another $12,305 or whatever.
So those are added on.
So those are added on,
Those would be.
but snow valuation's not doing those two either.
No, but
But snow valuation is, these guys are just coming in as if the resort came in with someone and said, we're coming in as an income-based approach, and they're they're fully developed description and cataloging of the physical assets of Killington Resort. The summary of permits, leases, concessions, so they're going through that. But what snow valuation is doing on top of it is saying they're gonna work through the different properties.
getting back to the valuation and the option, they're doing the valuation, both companies are doing the valuation that is primarily just for us to use from the standpoint of assessing for tax purposes. It's not up to the level that you would have if they were doing it for a bank or for a potential buyer. So if you wanted it at that same level as a bank or a potential buyer, that's going to cost us the extra $4,300 in option number, in the first option that he offers up.
So
But he says we don't really need that, so it's not something we should.
Of Resort Logic.
Yeah, Resort
Okay.
Logic offered up those things and then said we really don't need them, so.
And snow valuation also lists that they've already done work here.
Well, so has Resort Logic. Resort Logic is based out of New Hampshire, and he has done almost every ski area in New England. Mount Mansfield, Waterville, Mount Snow, Killington, Sunday River, Okemo, Mount Snow. I mean, they've all,
JP, this is the one for snow valuation, you're saying?
no, this is the one for.
Oh, for Resort Logic.
Resort Logic. Snow Valuation has also done them all.
Okay.
They've all had the hand in at some point in time of doing a valuation either for a buyer or for the company in anticipation of selling,
Okay.
or for getting a loan.
Okay.
So I guess where I'm lost is I thought,
But Snow Valuation is based out of North Carolina.
Yep.
They charge $495 an hour, and including their travel time.
Okay.
Resort Logic is $115 an hour and $40 an hour for travel.
On the $24,000 primary one for Core Resort Logic, is that the same scope as what,
Yes, as far as I can tell, they're very similar scopes.
because then, because even if you add the other
Although-
two, if you add the other two options, we get the 41,000 and they're at 39 without the other functions.
But the snow valuation, he said that he would attempt to help us organize the various properties and tax cards that we have for Killington, but he wasn't enthusiastic about it. The guy at Resort Logic says that's not a problem, he'd be happy to do that.
And would that be over and above any of these items?
No, it's part of the initial $24,000 cost. You'll see it. It says, work to true up and reconcile existing tax assessment records and tax parcels to what is currently on the ground.
I don't know, let's like reverse this tape or whatever. I thought one of these two, and I thought it was snow valuation, I thought you said that they were willing to go through each parcel and give us
Resort Logic.
Resort Logic
Yeah.
gift, okay, and that will be okay on that there.
Yeah.
So getting back to this income-based approach, I thought, going through many times of reading that, when you do a reappraisal of a town, you have to reappraise everybody the same, okay? And the resort came in 2015 on an income-based approach. And I thought we had to go in, everyone is the same as being, if we're going to, once again, come to me on my commercial property, that now you're gonna come to me as an income-based approach, or you're gonna come to me as a cost to build? What's that book or whatever of the
Marshall and Swift.
Marshall and Swift book? I thought you had to do everybody the same, and then if the person wanted to grieve, they can come in at cost, or they can come in at cost, or they could come in at income, or the other, matching it to other properties. But I thought as a town that we had to treat everybody the same going in.
Unfortunately, though, that Killington is not the same kind of business and entity that the other businesses in town are. So I think I can double check with the state, but I'm pretty sure we'd be allowed to assess them using a different method than we do the other businesses.
So I guess where I'm coming from on this is that we never did an income-based approach before until the resort came in 2015. And we valued them at one time based on property that they owned, okay? Then they came in and they hired somebody on for whatever, 50% of their savings or whatever they got off of, because that's how those companies work. So if we're gonna go based on income-based approach, and the resort is gonna be the final one that's gonna say, well, here's my data, here's my income, here's why am I'm being asked to pay 30, 40 grand when, where are they gonna get the income from?
From Killington.
Why don't we just get the income from Killington?
Because I think they can do a much better job of calculating what's what, because they've done it more. It's beyond, I could probably do it, but it would take a really long time, and I don't know if I'd get it correct.
Okay.
It's not my area of expertise to do an income-based.
No, I get that, I'm just.
And these guys, both of these guys do it day in and day out with all the ski resorts around the country.
I just don't mean to be smiling as a wise ass.
You are.
Okay, so I am, all right. I'm smiling as being a wise ass. Let's get used to it, all right? I'm gonna hire a company on for 40 grand, Chet. And I'm gonna tell them to go to the resort, and the resort's gonna tell them what description and catalog of physical assets that they have. Summary of permits, leases, concessions, and agreements. summary of recent major capital improvements and material transactions, historical capital investment. Are these guys going to fight, and are they gonna go in and say, no, they don't know what they put up there, they don't know there's something, they're going to the resort, and they're asking for the resort. So if we're okay spending $30,000-$40,000, having a middle person go in and say
Well, I think
to the resort, what do you have?
these guys have done it for banking and for purposes of sales, so their number is gonna be a little bit better than having one of our
Than mine.
town
would be.
employee walk in and say, I need to know this stuff.
Now, the
I
other
just
thing.
think it's ridiculous paying somebody $30,000 that they're
The
just
other-
gonna get all the information from the
The other
resort.
thing, well, it's, in addition to the information they get, can make determinations about the validity of the information. And they don't have to use their information, they can always use what is a market standard. And they also know they know what the capitalization rate is for ski areas in and around our area, or, averaging across the country. And that's all information that we don't have as a town. We don't know that stuff. You could pick a capitalization rate, but it might not be the right one, which would result in a lower valuation or a much too high valuation.
I think the other part that's also attractive to this, Jim, is Resort Logic has already said they're gonna help us figure out parcels that we don't even know.
That's what I want. No, that's what I mean, I'm like
Let's
on
be
that.
honest.
I mean, that's the part, to me, the income-based approach is just the, whatever, you get it from there. I mean, I can Google probably in 5 minutes, what capitalization rate should I be paying for a ski resort? It's gonna come up.
No.
If it's 6 or 8 multiple. I could do it for a golf course, I know that. So I think I could do it for a ski resort. But I'm more interested in finding out the parcels and getting them straight, and getting our cards straight. And I think as a town clerk, you would be more interested in that than just the income base. I'm not saying no to either one of these, I just want to get more than just the.
Well, the thing that I was trying to, when I was talking about the numbers.
Yeah.
If we think, the one advantage we have with these options, if we think that they're off for some reason, the $12,000, which still comes in under the other estimate, gives you the cost approach.
Right.
You know what I mean? So we have the option here to go cost approach if we needed to in the future to verify, are we in the right ballpark?
Right.
And we're still within the price, the other price that we're getting, the competitive.
Because this guy here is at 39.5,
And that
but
would
then
be-
there's extra costs if it goes over.
Right.
This person here is saying 24,730.
And if you go cost, you add
But if
12.
you're gonna add 12, and I'd rather just,
Listed what the extras might be.
right,
Yeah.
I'd rather go with that, because it just,
I agree. No, I just wanted, that's my point, was we'd have the option to verify under cost.
yeah. Is this the one that you're recommending?
Resort Logic.
Resort Logic, yes.
That's what I'm,
I'm kind of feeling that way too. I think there's a lot more information we have.
It seems to work more towards what we need,
We just,
you know.
we gotta find out where everything is.
Because what we get, we want to be able to use for the foreseeable future.
Okay, this one opportunity with this reevaluation is gonna give us the opportunity every 2 or 3 years to make statistical adjustments in the computer once we have all
Yeah,
this
I
straight. And
agree with that. I think
We can avoid the major ones all the
yeah, but I mean,
time.
this is like, this was in our packet Friday.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean, I had to go down to Washington DC on Saturday morning, 2:30, and get back yesterday. You know.
I don't think you have to take action on that tonight, because it is the first time we
Yeah,
discussed that.
because like I'm looking at page 2 on snow valuation, and I'm going into 1, 2, 3, 4, the 5th paragraph, the first paragraph being just one sentence. Snow valuation will provide the aforementioned market value estimates of the subject property components via all appropriate approaches to value. All 3 approaches to value will be considered, while the income approach is primarily relied upon for properties like the subject. The lack of recent historical financial operating data may render this approach less reliable. In this case, the sales comparison approach and/or the cost approach may also be developed should the appraiser deem it necessary through the course of developing the report. As such, the scope of work will include determinations of all parcels to be appraised, include all supplementing and contributing assets, assess all major buildings, include all ski lifts, overall total assessment. So I mean, it's like,
Well, then this, with the 30, with that section, the 36, then there, we're comparing the apples to apples.
well, that's what I mean, I'm just trying to find out, like, I'm reading it, and then, on one hand, I'm thinking that I'm just getting the income-based approach, but then I go to page 2, and I'm being told that it's gonna include all three.
Well, could. Should the appraiser deem
It
it
says,
necessary.
it says, snow valuation will provide the aforementioned market value estimates of the subject property components via all appropriate approaches to value. All three approaches to value will be considered, and then they'll take it from there.
Yeah, but they're not, doesn't mean that we were getting all three. It just says they're considering
Yeah.
how they're gonna approach it. It's pretty, I think it's pretty vague. And I think it even goes in further where it says, I read earlier, it's, deem it necessary through the course of developing the report. So they have they got a lot of rope. I mean, I don't think we should make a decision tonight, to your point, Jim.
Yeah.
I mean, the only thing I like, you know, with the resort logic is, that's why I was looking, what is the worst-case scenario? And if you ended up picking that option for the cost approach to have the comparison, you're still in that same price range, and
It's probably not a bad idea to do that anyway.
I guess that's where I'm coming from.
I mean,
I'd
I'm
rather
thinking you're
spend
gonna do that, the 36 and the
30,
30, yeah.
I'm thinking.
I'm not,
Spend the 40 grand or whatever it is and get it so it's all, instead of getting stuck into one. Like, I would prefer us, if I went to a commercial appraiser, he's gonna give me the three different ways: sales, cost, and income. And I would just think that we put this bid out, that we want it sales, cost, and income. That's what we want.
And I think either one of the companies would do a very good job.
Yeah.
So,
So can you go through these things and show me in the
I mean,
next meeting,
right
like
now-
sales, cost, and income, which one is gonna be the better one to do it, and go over it with the listers?
Yep.
But I want sales, cost, and income. And I still think that in the state of Vermont, when you do an appraisal, it states that everybody was treated fairly in the same way. And if we're gonna do all the other businesses on a cost basis, okay, or a resale basis, we have to do it the same for, even though they're the biggest company, okay? And then they can always come in and fight us on the income-based approach, and then we have our homework done for the income-based approach when they come to us. And there's no arguing,
Right.
so.
I mean, that's where I am, from a defendability perspective, I mean,
Yeah.
having those two functions, I think,
Yeah,
I do. And it makes it 37,035 if resort logic, if you pick those two.
okay.
I've got somebody I can talk to about your question as to cost versus income. And I'll find out that answer for you.
Cool.
You talk about from the state.
Yeah, actually, it's, she's an appraiser, not just a state district
And then,
advisor.
so, and the other piece of this is the original authorization, do we want to sign? Do we
The
wanna
original,
authorize-
yeah.
the original we should go with.
Yeah, so just, we want to authorize that to be signed and executed.
I'll make a motion that we the town manager move forward with signing for Vision for the townwide appraisal.
Yep.
Minus the resort property.
Right.
Second it?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Can I ask a question? When is the reappraisal going to start?
It's going to start in the fall and be done for the April of '25.
April of '25. And are they going to handle all of the grievances as well,
They-
Vision?
They are going to, they're going to be present and assist with all of that.
Okay, thank you.
And then on this resort, we're definitely like this one pager,
He's out.
okay? Sorry.
But it's okay, it
Can we
doesn't
just
bother me.
get, you know what, I want
Yeah, no,
like
we gotta- we gotta
a
give you a
block
little
and a
sheet.
block
Yep.
that's showing what's, you know. I really do think that we need to treat like.
I'm in favor of the two pieces. You do the income approach.
Yeah, I'm
and
in
then
favor of the
you do
two pieces too. I'm not sure if we need them, but I will find out.
I think we need them.
Well, no, I mean, I'm not sure that we have to do costs and then have an appeal and go to income.
No, I'm not saying we have to do it that way, but I think we
But I
need to
will
do it.
find out for
We have-
sure.
For defendability, even to the rest of the public,
That
we have to be able to say, we
treated
have the
everybody-
cost, and this is what it came up, this is the income, this is the most logical. We gotta have both answers, though, I think.
I always thought, when I read the listers or the appraisal, whatever handbook, that you had to prove that you treated everybody equally. And if we're gonna do everybody else on a sales approach or whatever, then we need to do everybody, we
Well,
need to do them on a sales-based approach.
Just as an FYI, we do homes and businesses on a cost basis, and we do the condominiums on a sales basis. And
Well, I
that's
guess that
allowed.
goes against what I just said I thought was
And,
the
and,
rules.
and that is an allowed method of doing it, so. But let me get an answer for you particular to that
Yeah.
one question.
Okay,
Cool. We'll go from there.
thanks. Sorry I didn't have time to read. I drove to Washington DC at 2:30 in the morning Saturday, and I was back by 6 o'clock last night.
We had it on tape for you.
Yeah, thanks.
Okay. Is Dave, I think that might be David.
Yeah, no.
David's here,
Okay.
and Mark.
And Mark is over here. So, Green Mountain National?
Thanks a lot, Butch.
What?
Thanks a lot.
Just wanted to hear it again. See you later.
So, on the golf side for the, as far as the town goes, Mark, you want to run through the comparative budget for,
Yeah, I mean, it's,
unless David wants to go first?
sure,
No, all yours, Mark.
The biggest thing is the difference between in April, the way we budget monthly are season passes. So in May, we caught up to budget quickly. In May, there was only a budget of, I want to say $11,000, and we sold $67,000. So that was the biggest difference. So in April, we would have been behind more. If you come down, this is showing you all the revenues, which, I mean, the gory details. If you go down, pick up on total revenues. And you can see that we're ahead of last year. And we are, as of May 31, we're on budget for revenues for the year. June holds well, and we'll be on budget for the fiscal year. And then on the expense side, you can see everything is, all the details are portrayed there. Up over last year and on budget. So that's great news, David.
Thanks, that's great.
And on the treasurer's report, currently the balance in the pro shop is $460,000, and balance in the restaurant is $26,293, which both are fairly strong numbers still. So I think on the cash perspective, we still have $115,000 in restricted funds, and we're holding where we should be pretty much throughout.
Sorry, you guys are dropping out a little bit.
So, any
So
questions?
on the comparative budget, it's easy to say that in the month of June, we're gonna cover the $137,912 in revenue. We're at $939,737 now to get what we budgeted for $1,077,650. We only have to do $137,000, David. That's not hard to do in June with the weather?
No, it's not. I mean, it's obviously weather dependent, but
Yeah.
we're right on track. Everything is, all the numbers are looking good. I will say that my expectation this year is for rounds be a little lower than last year, but I think with pricing increases, we'll be able to cope, and revenue will be
where it needs to be, right where we need it to be.
Okay, so when Brown first started out here, they would give us like what they expected to do in each month. Do you have a target that you're gonna do for June of 2023?
Do I?
Sure.
It would be based on our budget number, yes.
On the budget number. It's 100, it's 148 round.
Okay, so it's 10 grand more than what they need to do here.
Yeah.
Okay, and then the last page on the expenses, we're at total expenses that were 929,304, and we budgeted 1,149,983. So we've got 220,679 to be expended in June to go. Is that about right, Mark? Or are we under or over 200? Do we know what we normally spend in June?
We're budgeted in June. What was your expense number?
I'm showing 220,000. We have room for 220,000
Hit the year.
to hit the year.
Yeah, we better not spend 220,000.
That's all I
Yeah,
want.
no, I think it'll be hard.
I'm just asking the question if we have a budgeted number, because we're down to the last month. So it looks like we'll be under budget, and we should be equal to or on the budget on the expense side and equal to or greater on the revenue side, weather dependent.
It's all about those, the season passes, why they have such an impact is because it all flows to the bottom line.
Right.
There's no cost of goods, there's no nothing.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
that had the most significant effect.
And I'm not gonna go through every single line.
Yeah, I know, it's a little dry.
You know, I'm just saying,
We're-
want to see we hit the budget.
Yeah.
Those are
No.
I want to see that we hit on revenue, and I want to see that we're close, that we didn't, under on the
Sure.
expenses side. So, I'm good with that.
That was just the number we needed for
Yeah.
May pass sales.
Yeah.
And now I have a lot more confidence. I wasn't real confident we were gonna make revenue budget this year.
Looking at April.
What it shows me is that for next year's budget, they may have been budgeted similar to how they're budgeted this year. I need to tweak that. I'm not gonna fix the yearly amount, but I'm gonna go in and make a change so that next year, as we're looking at these, as you get closer to the end of the fiscal year, they're part of a historical approach.
Right.
They need to mean something.
Yeah.
It was showing us being, 60-something grand in the hole for its budgeted sales.
Because last year.
And it's
they were
because the
opening
passes
April,
just
and
weren't
this year
done
they
right
couldn't.
on a monthly basis.
Yeah, so,
And it was a
We'll
weekend
fix that.
they couldn't open.
yeah. So, David, just one last question here. When Brown first started doing this, they used to take the season passes, and even if like the 60 grand came in May, they were doing something like scheduling it out over the course of a year. Are they still
Yeah.
doing that?
I think in the budget to come, that is the case. But I agree with what Mark's saying. Actual numbers per month make more sense.
Yeah, okay. So I'll make
And
that.
we can change that and make that adjustment.
Yeah. So a motion to approve the May Green Mountain National Golf Course comparative budget.
Second.
Favorite?
So we received, and Mark can go over this, he's already responded to Brown with the capital budget update.
Right. Oh, this is where we needed our magnifying glasses?
My question was, which of these equipment have actually come in?
Chet, you can put that version up.
That's what I gotta go get. Hold on.
It's,
That's the old one.
Did you get that email from Aaron? It sort of lists everything.
now, I sent a note out earlier today, so Aaron had sent something dated May 12th, last revised, and you followed up with a note saying, Aaron, I talked with Aaron this weekend, and this thing really hasn't changed, so we're good to go use this forecast. What I noticed when I opened the forecast is that 3 of the items that he listed on his sheet as for approval or for consideration weren't adding in to the formula that he had at the bottom. So they're listed individually, but they don't add into the total. We can't, so I didn't believe it was, we can't present that to them tonight. I did and Aaron was away
So it's this one.
for this week, so we can, Aaron has a version that he updates. I also have something that I started when I first got here, and I'm stuck on it, so I'm using that, and it's a good way for me to test the two.
So I'm going to table the capital budget
The most
review.
important part of this, Chet, and maybe, if you have some particular equipment
Well,
questions.
the question that was related before was that we had a proposal to order some more equipment, and we were looking at how it was gonna affect the long term, because we were already
Yes.
at our limit.
Okay. So those pieces of equipment, there was 5 Yamaha carts, and they are listed, and the math is included in this schedule. 5 carts. He added, hang on a second, please. I gotta see the ones that he added.
$51,000.
There was 5 carts.
Yeah, monthly payments are $811.
So it's up there, it says maintenance equipment lease.
Oh, and a Pro Gator.
2023, it's a UMAX 2 Rally Utility Carts 5, monthly cost $811, purchase price $51, annual cost is $9,735. So,
Okay. So that's in the schedule as, for consideration, let's say.
right.
And then there's a 2020 Gator that costs a little over 40 grand, and the finance cost is 48 grand. It's about the same cost as the carts, $9,600 a year. So that is in here as well. He also added a couple things. One of the problems that I have with Aaron's sheet, David, that can make me nervous, is that it is still not comprehensive. In other words, and for example, he just added a $40,000 groundsmaster mower. I mean, I know it takes a bunch of mowers over there, but, and a $25,000 roller that wasn't on a previous version.
Gotcha.
So when we look at being comprehensive, all this stuff has got to be laid out, or we're going to get ourselves into trouble.
Yes.
That's just how it works.
So column M is the amount of years of the annual cost, that's the lease. Okay, so I'm going to stick to the 5 units of the UMAX 2 Rally utility carts. The monthly cost is, or the annual cost is $9,735 for 5 years, which gives you the $48,675, okay? But then if you wanted to keep them any longer than the 5 years, there's a $10,675 buyout. So you're paying $58,000, $59,200 whatever dollars for them, okay? You're paying $8,000 more than if you bought them out at $51,000. Now the question is what kind of rate are we getting on that for that? What is the lease rate?
It's got to be in the 7%. Most of the leases we're seeing now are up to 7%.
So this comes back to where we said, when we go to our own bank, we're getting 4 or 5%. Why aren't we buying out? Then the other question, David, to you is like, I mean, it's a 2022 Yamaha, so that's their utility carts. How old are our utility carts right now?
They vary in age from, and again, I'm just guessing, I want to say anywhere between 15 and 5 years.
5 and 15 years?
Yeah.
So, and the 5-year ones are probably in the better shape and still got a couple of years out of them or whatever.
Of course.
Yeah. So we're showing that we're getting them to last longer than 5 years. So, I mean, this is where I think we just have to do another comparative. Like, why wouldn't we be buying them at $48,675 through a 5-year note with a, 4% interest rate or whatever?
I would agree.
Like Tim, you're asking the question, is buying them outright better for us, obviously, than getting a lease with a dollar or a turnaround at the end? Yeah.
Yeah. Because what Mark, I think, is getting at is like, if we get into this turnover into a lease thing, it's every 5 years, and it's gonna be like, you just spent $48,675, and now you're stuck, you gotta buy them. Or you gotta get back into another lease for another 5 years.
Only the fair market value ones, we have fair market value on what they call a triflex.
I'm sticking to the Yamaha right now.
The Yamaha, those carts, the need for these carts stems back from a select board visit to the site.
Yeah, I understand
And
what
he
it,
said, so you probably heard all of that, how old are they, blah, blah, blah. Some of them are junk.
yeah.
I mean, they're old, utility vehicles. 2000, there's 2010.
Yep.
There's one 2013.
And they're not
Okay, so
moving.
why are we taking one hit and buying 5 at once? Why don't we buy two, versus going out and buying 5 all at once? That makes no sense to me. And again, why are we housing dead ones if they're not even working? Like, just get rid of them.
But I'm getting at the point that if there's 5, and there's 3 of them that aren't even working, then we're only driving around in 2.
Yeah, but I just don't know why we need to replace the whole fleet in 1 year.
What I'm getting at is if I have 3 junk cars in my driveway, and I've been getting along for the last 5 years with 2 running cars, why am I buying 5 cars? That's what I'm getting at. Why am I not just buying 2 cars and get rid of the junk, or at least, maybe you say, I need a 3rd one, but if you've been getting away with 2 utility carts and 3 in the junkyard, why do you also need 5?
Are there,
I can answer, I mean, we're finally getting to the stage where our staffing is back to where it needs to be. And long-term picture is when our maintenance staffing is where it needs to be, then the quality of the golf, this all comes down to what we can charge for a green fee.
Yeah.
And we're still not where we need to be, but because of more staff, better equipment, usable equipment, like 3 years ago, we only had 3 grounds crew staff, and we only needed 3 golf carts. Now we have 5, we have 7, including Jonan and Robert. So because we've now got to a point where we can employ more people, and obviously we need more golf carts. So I think that answers your question, Jim.
Well, it just brings out more questions, because if you got 2 that are working and you need 5, then buy 3, and you have 3 brand new ones, and you have 2 that may be the 5 years old that you could stretch out another 2 years, and then you could go buy the 2. There's just so many different things. What?
I don't disagree with that at all.
That's all I was getting at. I mean, I'm glad Mark told me and reminded me about the 3 junkers. So, I mean, I think we just have to get, like, what's what? Just saying I need 5, and there's 3 of them.
Well, they want these to come in on July 1.
Yeah, but what's the delivery schedule of
That's what it just, inception date.
UMax 2 Rally utility? How fast can we get them? I thought we don't even know when we can get them.
No, you can't. No, there's still a huge delay on all this equipment.
So they said July 1, they just didn't say
They just
what
put
year.
July 1 as the inception date.
Yeah, but they didn't put
they're
a year.
assuming that, yeah.
No,
Yeah,
23.
I
It says
know,
20.
yeah, I know.
I just,
Yeah. So, I mean, I think we got to get back to that. It's not great going out and leasing these things at 7, 8, 9%. Okay? So, we had a great discussion. I think we should just get better information.
Well, yeah, I mean, I think we gotta update the plan. I mean, basically, it's, do you absolutely need 2 that we can buy cash? Or
know,
do you need
just
3?
buy
Like,
cash.
to me, that's the way to go. I don't want to finance anywhere right now.
Yeah, but.
We can help it.
But you don't know when you're going to get them.
Well, but my point is if we say we're putting this, we have money in the fund, and we say that's earmarked, and you hold on to it, and we live that way. you know, but
Until they're
not,
available.
not putting, I mean, 'cause the fact is, you're talking about $9,700 a year just in payments, so that's one card a year. It's like, boom, done.
That's what I'm just saying, I think we're better off buying them cash.
Yes, I agree. I would much prefer to stay in the cash world.
Yep.
Go back up to the top of that sheet. So we looked at the equipment. There's a lot of information there. Way up at the top, Chet, and the two green cells there, so that you can go to the right, please.
Whoops, too far.
That's the most important. If you can get that just to appear, that little beginning, you know, the green cells at the top, there you go.
I just took me a little.
And then auto-size all those columns so you can see the numbers. Thanks. We're having an Excel training on Wednesday if you're interested.
You're welcome.
Okay.
8 to 12, library.
So everything that Aaron has presented is in this schedule in terms of the equipment, David. So everything that the utility carts, this groundsmaster that he now needs, and a roller, $25,000 roller that he, okay, it's all represented in here. The one thing that, and you can see that top there, projected budget, right? So that just rolls that thing for 5 years to make sure that that never goes negative. You can see in 26, 27, it's getting small. And the reason for that is because we are leasing $180,000 a year, pretty much from next year going forward. The equipment lease is only $113, but in terms of total capital spent, we're also going to spend $62,000 on your satellite boxes. So let's just round and call it 180. So you've got some significant leases, and I still don't believe that I have a comprehensive list of all the equipment that's coming down the road that you need.
Okay.
That's what makes me nervous about, it's all about that bottom line, ending balance. That's your home checkbook.
But we should wait anyway.
And when you run out, you're out. There is no capital.
So 2022-23, you go everything from your beginning balance of July 1 on the green of 72,000. You get your town contribution, you got your golf operation contribution, and then you got maintenance lease equipment of $57,000. Do we really have all that stuff here? The month ends at the end of June. 22-23 ends in June. So is that $57,000 really here that we're paying? Or is there some piece of equipment in that $57,000 that we don't have yet?
That will be here when we make the June payments. We'll be at 51.
Okay. And it's on a lease?
Actually, the 22, 23, where are you pulling that 51 from?
I'm not, you said 51. I said 57,175. It's 22, 23, and it says maintenance equipment lease. We went from 21, 22 actual from 15,571 to 57,175. But this board doesn't know if we got all the equipment in for this year.
I believe we do. I don't think there's anything outstanding for this year.
Yeah, because the loader bucket came in right after the last select board meeting.
I like to believe you, but I just would like to know that we got everything in, that's all.
Absolutely.
So then I jump over to 23, 24, that starts July 1, and it goes to 113,769. And then cost improvements go to 62,533, okay? Are we guaranteed to get all that? I would guess that the 57 is in that 113 if it's lease payments or whatever. So do we think we're gonna get in the other 56,000?
We, in any schedule like this is based on leased equipment becoming available.
Right.
So next year
Okay, he's
it is in there for what we budgeted. So
But we
the
don't know
real
if we did.
master,
We won't have it.
the money doesn't go away, Jim. It will shift to the right.
Yeah.
It's the commitment that you're concerned about. The commitment.
So what's gonna happen, you got 3 utility carts that are in the junkyard inside the building that aren't working, and you got 2 that are going around right now, and they fail. Where are you gonna get 2 carts? Nobody's delivering them.
The only option is the second-hand market, and then you buy other people's shit, sorry to say that.
I appreciate that language.
The thing is that if you bought 3 carts outright, you'd only change this one-year thing by $18,000 or $19,000.
Yeah, but $19,000, and you get the 26, 27 of 36, that's 50% increase.
But $9,000 is coming off of all those numbers, those consecutive years too.
Right.
Because we're now no longer, those leases are included in that.
But if we go to a purchase, we're gonna save 3% easily over a lease.
Yes.
I don't know, if you're going for a home mortgage, I think I'd rather take 5% over 8% any day.
If you have the borrowing capacity at the town
That's
level.
right now, when we talk
Only
about
if you have
that,
that.
you know, we have an aggregate we're playing with, and, you know, everything we take out like this affects that. I would say in the short term, like I would say emergency time, buy 2 carts, get them as soon as you can, and then we buy them cash and we move to the next round.
Okay, so
Okay.
can we put back to Aaron before we say we're buying them, because this board didn't approve it? If we say buy 2 golf carts, at the next meeting, I'd like to know when they expect the 2 utility carts to get here.
Okay.
Delivery date.
That'd be good.
They tell us 26, 27.
I think utility cards we can probably have by, it'll be before business next year, if not by the end of this year.
Can we just have that, call Yamaha up and ask them?
Yeah, and that's my point. You don't want to be buying carts in November because they sit in the barn for 5 months before we get to use them. So, you know, you want stuff to arrive in May and June of next year.
Right. So if we go on that list of stuff that he's looking for 23, 24, what can we actually have here of March or April of 24? That would help out a lot.
It's gonna shuffle the whole thing to the right, simply because we'll only be doing the last 3 months for anything we lease.
I don't really care about the shuffling, I just like to know what we're gonna get in the spring of 23, spring of 24. So, all right, thank you.
So one of the things you should take from this is if we're gonna spend $180,000 and we're only gonna contribute $100,000 from the town and 55 from revenues, that math isn't working real well.
Right.
You need to up the
That's what
revenues.
you need to take with you.
Yeah.
Really. I mean, so going forward, if the equipment's gonna keep coming and the number might even get a little bigger, what's our plan? Like, how are we gonna pull this off? Because math doesn't lie, it's right there.
Well, I mean, we have to curtail some of our
The
spending.
100 and the 55, something's gotta give.
Right, and we'll see what happens in this year, 23, 24, as far as revenues. I mean, I think Brown Golf has proven that they've grown revenue, or David, you've grown revenue each year, and pretty much have stayed within the expense side. So,
Yes, and I can, you know, I think, and to Mark's point, I agree with what he's saying. And Jim, you know, if there's a philosophy change, whether we lease or purchase, you know, certainly it's up to the town, but I think if we can purchase at a lesser interest rate, that makes sense.
right,
On certain equipment.
right.
And that'll go by the guidance of Aaron, and Robert too, because they know more about this than I do. I mean, you know, I'm a humble golf pro that sells green fees and gives the occasional.
A beer or two.
Yeah, and a beer or two, yeah, exactly. And I think if we need a serious conversation, because the prices of equipment are going to go down, and we just need a conversation in the future about where the town wants to see cost per round and what are we going to charge for our golf course as it continues to improve, as it does. And it might be a little heartache for the folks that are local, but they're not the ones paying our bills.
So we're waiting right now on a price for two
We're waiting on a delivery date,
and a delivery date.
okay?
I can
And,
confirm now.
and we know that the cost is some $48,000.
That's for five.
Five, two of them would be 18.
It should be like 18 or 19 grand.
Okay. And then, we should be able to just buy them with the money we have.
Yes.
Yep,
Yeah.
agree.
Well, one is already covered in the Lisa number, and then we're extending one, but we have, money.
So just find out when we can get them delivered, we have the money. All right.
Okay.
Great.
So I'll also make a motion to accept the treasurer's report side for the golf course.
Second.
All right.
Well, you have two packets in here. You have the April packet because it wasn't included in the packet when we reviewed.
I'm gonna make a motion to accept the April comparative report, since we got the May in front of us also.
Second.
All right, let's just jump right to
We
it.
don't really need
It's May.
Well, in the May report, the highlights right now are we had a $308,000 local options tax first quarter, which is, I think, might be the highest we've had. I can't remember. It's pretty close, though. But we basically, that puts the options tax receipts at about $651,000 versus the budgeted amount of $472. In addition, we have on the interest income side, because we were able to put the $5.7 million that was going to the school in a CD, we have earned $74,738 in interest this year. About $59,000 of it was from that particular CD. So that budget is up higher. State and federal payments this year are also up. We're up about $30,000 over budget. And expense-wise, we're running pretty flat. We're still about $300,000 under budget. We're about $300,000 higher than last year, but that's due to the budget increase. And our net, as of today, comparatively, is last year we were $444,000 as compared to budget. This year we're $480,000. So we're tracking correctly. And on the treasurer's report side, we did make our school payment on May 31st. So the numbers that are represented there, the $3.2 million in the account, includes that having been paid. We have $2.7 million in restricted funds, but that number is understated by approximately $300,000 because we have not transferred all the money that has been put towards the TIF. We've spent about a little over $1.2 million, and we've only taken out just over $900,000 in the loan.
1.2
On the Killington forward.
I thought I just got something the other day that said 1.5, 1.6.
Okay, we're up to 1.5. So the last one I saw was 1.3. I missed that one. So that being the case, that's about $600,000 understated when we refund back to the general fund and move that money over. So that's where we sit today.
On the local option tax,
Yeah.
what are we budgeting for '24?
4 something.
That's all lumped together. Oh, there it is. 580.
Okay, so it's still like
Yeah.
$70,000
We're
less
still-
than,
Right.
yeah, we did 651.
Yeah, so it was 580 we estimated.
So we'd have to be like 10% lower
Right.
to get down to that. Motion to accept the town report for May 2023.
Second.
Do you have anything to add? Okay, all in favor of accepting the report as presented? Say aye.
Motion to accept the treasurer's report for May 31st for the town, since we already did the golf side. And restricted funds.
Second.
In favor? Aye.
So,
Do you have
yes,
something else?
I'm good, I have something afterwards. So, how we just played putting the money into the, CD or whatever? Okay. Well, I mean, now that we know we can do that or whatever. So when I look at the, line item fund number 182, the recreation pool fund, and we have $376,000 in there, and we know we're not gonna be using that this year or whatever, why can't we just put that why can't we put certain amounts in? Put it into, invest it into where, right now, it's like whatever, the I-bond or whatever, or 4-month or 5-month is getting you 5% instead of just sitting here. Does the money have to go into that separate line item, or can the interest go over to the general fund?
So as long as you know that that money is reserved for that, I mean, you can take from that 3 million that we have at cash, and you can say, we want to keep $1 million.
Right.
And
Go
that
for
was-
4 or 5 months, what did we do the last time?
Well, we couldn't do this, we didn't actually do a CD. It was a special account. It was called an ICS account.
Yeah.
It's like a sweep account.
Right,
But we could not touch the money.
right.
And it was just, it guaranteed us, they gave us the same rate as the CD. It was a much higher rate.
Right.
So, yeah, I think it would be great. I think that the town should keep, I think we're in a position we can keep $1 million at least and get it, maximize our interest.
Right, so I think I'd like us to try to look at that.
Okay.
And then when we get July, we get the most of the school tax in, and we don't have to pay that until December.
December, yeah, sure.
December 1 or
Yeah.
December, it is December 1, right?
December 1st, yeah.
December 1st, so if we get the money in like July, you got August, September, October, November, you got the 4 months.
We get the bulk of it, like August 15th, we have
Okay.
the bulk of that first payment.
Okay.
And if so we'd go, what, it's September, October, November, so we would do another 3 months, which would put us just in time to make the payment.
Yeah, you don't want to cut yourself too short because you have to
Right.
keep your cash for your, operating expenses. But
But I mean,
This is
certainly
money
we
we
can
can't
put.
touch.
But even if we, like, not the 5 million, if we did like 3 million, I mean, we might as well take advantage of it.
Sure,
that,
I agree.
You know,
Yeah.
so let's look at, I'm not gonna say that we're gonna put, we never know, we might need that 3,000
How
for a
much
wellness
risk,
dinner
how much
or
risk,
whatever.
how much risk is there with us with that money?
There's no risk.
No, it's just a flat bank, whatever.
We're insured for all of it.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I mean, I'm just looking at certain things like the pool, it's sitting there, and we know we're not even talking about
Well,
building
the
a
thing is,
pool
like,
yet.
that one, if we were gonna get a better rate for a longer time, you could say put 250,000 in something higher, because you're not gonna touch that, or if you had a couple funds like
Yeah, I
that.
think we can reach out to Mascoma and find out what our options are, and we can
Right.
certainly look at what we want to do to maximize.
You got 271,000 in the Killington Road Route 4 sewer fund. I don't know how much you really need in there. But that one there, at least, they can earn the higher interest rate, so the money's there. But I'm gonna leave that up to you
Make some
to
money.
go through, because we're not really getting any money on this, right? It's just sitting in a,
Well, you're getting whatever the interest is, just sitting in the general fund, and
it's
whatever
like
interest.
1% or less.
Yeah, I'd have to look, it's not,
Yeah,
you're
it's
not
not.
getting much.
But I'd rather get the 4% or whatever
Yeah.
than, so, when I was going through that, and you guys did the bigger amount, I'm hoping once August 15 come around, we dump the school stuff, or a portion of it, to, another 3 months.
Yeah, I mean, the one difficulty, we are gonna be able to do that. The one difficulty with being able to maximize is knowing who's paid what. Like, we're obligated to the state part, but sometimes if somebody pays late, that's money the town doesn't have, but we still have the obligation. So it's just making that work from a cash flow perspective.
So not going the full boat, but
Right.
going some part, 70% of the boat.
Right.
You know, if you, all of a sudden you can get another 60, 70 grand, if we could get 60 or 70 grand 2 times a year, it's huge.
Yeah.
So, all right. We already approved the treasurer's report, so.
And that's something they don't actually need our approval to do. That's between the treasurer and the manager.
I would always let, I mean, while it
I mean,
may not necessarily,
information to us.
you guys want to know that we're doing this.
Treasurer, right?
Okay, do you have a department update?
Just a couple things. I mentioned earlier, the transfer station had a new fence put in. It was long overdue. Also, we're looking at the salt shed is getting painted this summer in July. So that'll stop the corrosion that's been going on for years.
Was Jay in there scraping the other day?
Well, we're actually, what we have to do is take the wood off the metal. Once we take that off, they sandblast, they paint, and then we put our wood back up, which is just to protect the metal later on. The library is being painted as we speak. They have started that process. Well, yeah, it's got a light.
Is there anyone that looks at the sand pile from the town?
Yeah.
The other day I drove by, there were kids sliding down the bank.
So that I didn't know. No. How did they get it? Who let them over?
They walked up the backside, slid down the front. That's kind of a bit of liability for us, I would think.
It's not a good thing.
What
And,
color did they go with on the library? Green?
Why, go look at it now, that paint.
The paint? I can see the color right now. Come on.
The color of the shirt.
Okay.
And the KES had their end of the year picnic, and the pool is operating, and my belief is it's opening this weekend, I think, for residents, so we're hitting summer, even though it doesn't feel like it at all. And my understanding is
Not here.
the library's Touch-a-Truck program went very well last weekend. There was a pretty good turnout, and the kids enjoyed it,
Good.
so that's that.
Okay. Between the people that are zoomed in and the folks that are here, is there anything else? This is citizen input additional that we did not get to, that someone wants to bring up.
Someone's in the chat, but that's been there a while.
Tom?
I have some items, but I don't know if you want to talk about it publicly or
Do we want to do it in executive session?
executive session.
Are you talking about personnel stuff or something like that, or legal or whatever?
Yeah, I'd probably consider personnel.
So
Okay.
we'll go into
We can do that
executive
in executive
session.
session after this.
Does anybody have any questions?
I don't see any hands up at this point.
Ken?
Yeah, is it possible to get say, a status report every time the board meets on the 2 projects that are going on, the town building, new town building, and also the water line? And report on maybe 4 or 5 specific categories pertaining to the both projects? And the categories I'm thinking of would be, okay, document delivery, RFPs that are out, contract awards versus budget status, schedule, okay, versus construction status.
So don't we have on the town website, at least for the water line, that we put out the contracts?
Yeah.
We haven't awarded anything.
No, we haven't awarded, we put a notice to award, but we have not sent the notice of award
Right,
yet.
and they're working through that.
Yep.
But when Naomi, who is with the Frames Group, I'm talking about the water line right now.
Yeah,
Okay, so when Naomi comes forward with a letter for the notice to not,
Which one, the notice to proceed?
not the notice to proceed.
Notice to award,
The notice to award, it's gonna come through the board, she's filling out the paperwork, and then we're gonna sign off on it.
right.
So it will be on a meeting saying notice to award. And then, so there will be, at that point right there, at that time, I know we came out with who the different people that bid on the project and how that came out. So we're waiting for Dufresne's group on, just so we have a little report, we're waiting on the Dufresne's group to go through the paperwork to come back to us. I know that Casella has been told that, not, they haven't been told, but we're told that Casella is the lowest bidder confirmed on contracts 1 through 3A at some 18 point whatever million, but we've made that available.
Yep.
And then per Becky for 3B, like
2.4, I think.
2.4 million for 3B, okay? But it's still in Dufresne's group to come out, so it gets to the manager, for the manager then to put on the schedule for the select board to go and do the notice of award.
Right, and then the notice to award will be, once everything's confirmed and everything else, we'll give the notice to award that we intend to move forward. Then there's the notice to proceed, because there are still two permits that are in the last stages, and a couple of state sign-offs before we actually can proceed. But the contracts are, all the bids are in order at this point.
And the contract, and the bids that we put out in the bid package said that we had 90 days from the
Bid
date
date.
of the bid to notice to award. And then and that doesn't mean proceed, and from there there's another notice to proceed. So we will be giving updates on them as they come in. That's the water.
Okay.
Now, the town hall.
Town hall, actually, the closing is scheduled for July 14th at this point, so the town currently does not own the building yet. So the closing is scheduled for that time, and we're working on making sure we have all those things. The ESAs are done, and they've
Why
had.
don't you tell people what the ESA is?
ESA is an environmental site assessment, level 1 that you do, which is preliminary discussion to ensure that you don't have any future environmental things, or there's no sites nearby that are adjacent that may have one that could impact you. And both of those were clean for that and the other parcel as
It's
well.
not actually drilling or anything.
No, this is not, that would be a level 2. It's a phase 1, a level 1. Once you do, if you find something in that, then you gotta go to a level 2 and do further investigation.
So on the post office, what we're waiting for is, at this point, we pushed the closing date to July 14th, okay? And that's with legal counsel, because at the same time, it's working through the two lawyers, the Koch family lawyer and Jeremy Farkas for the town, of getting all the documents together for a closing.
And a lot of that, the post office is involved, is in the mix, because the lease has to be updated and all of that. So it is taking a little extra time.
But then there's another little group that is working on plans
Yeah.
for the town with the vault and everything else.
Yeah, we have preliminary plans, and we're putting those out to get some estimates and schedules and things like that, so.
So where are we at putting them out to? 'Cause
I mean-
even though we're moving forward with,
Yeah.
like the concrete, we have to have concrete walls built
Yeah.
in the first floor
Yeah.
for the vault area. It already has a concrete floor, so.
Well, I mean, starting with the general contractor, because of whoever they would use for the sub,
Right.
right now is where we're going, so
Okay.
we'll go from there.
Does that help you, Ken?
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you.
So, I'll make a motion to go into executive session with, is it 1, 3?
The three of us.
Three is, can you just say who? Tom Rock, Josh Stevens, and
Emily Rock.
Emily Rock for executive session personnel with Tom Rock, Josh Stevens, and Emily Rock. No action taken, okay? I'm gonna go back into executive session for personnel. Steve Finneran had to leave at the current time, so it'll be Chris Carr, myself, and Chet, and we'll be back out in like 5 minutes, all right? We're out of executive session at 9:37 from personnel. There actually is action being taken. The town with the TIF has listened to the citizens, the concerns when the letter came out about the newspaper articles with Burlington and their TIF, and we were asked multiple times, are we bringing in a person for clerk of the works, public works, whatever it is, public works, to oversee the project and everything? And the board has been going into executive session for personnel for the last, I don't know, Chet, 5 months? since the conversation started. And the board feels that Chet Hagenberg is the person to be our public work person, since he's worked on roads and this building here that came out really well and on budget.
The familiarity with the TIF district.
And you're familiar with the TIF district?
And process.
Getting involved in the process and getting involved in, we need to move somebody over to this position, so not into the everyday town manager stuff. So the board is going to create a public works director position. Benefits are all the same, okay? And we're going to move Chet Hagenberth over to there, and the board will be making an offer to a person for a town manager position. Once that person's name is accepted, we will make the announcement on that. So can I get a motion to, do we need a motion to create
Well, yeah, you're
a
correct.
public works director and name Chet Hagenberth that position? He'll be holding the town manager position until we have an acceptance from a town
Until
manager.
they come on.
Until they come
Yep.
on, okay?
Yep.
I get a second?
Motion, second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Any questions from the public? We got a KDS and Polly's iPhone. I know Polly is Polly McCool. So, nobody listening there? Okay.
I'm listening. I don't have any questions right now. Thanks, Jim.
Okay, so at 9:40 PM, I'd like to make a motion to adjourn.
Yep.
All in favor? Aye.